Good evening. Evening, everybody. Welcome to Roslyn Court. We've got a brilliant evening lined up this evening. We've got John Connolly coming along, which will be great. Before we allow him onto the stage, we've got a couple of songs coming up. And also to remind you about the raffle. If you win the raffle, you can either win a CD or Who Gives a Crap toilet roll, which I have forgotten to put on display. Yay! So if someone could just go into the cupboard next door and get one, that would be brilliant. So if you're here, you're in the raffle. If you're at home and you donate or you take part in the chat, you're in the raffle for the length of this concert. All right? That's good. We've had a very busy week here. We've had an Irish night, which Una led, and we've had a jazz night last night, and tonight we've got folk. So it's all happening here this week. Brilliant. I'm going to sing you a song, and then Paul Grant's going to sing you a song, and then we'll get John up. Okay? This is a song by Lal Waterson. Chris is away. He's been away a week. So I just thought, he's watching, so I just thought I'd let him know what I've been doing. Fell in the street in a drunken heap. There's bright water all around me, and the cheap red wine in me drunken brain has left a burning flame in me belly. I don't need nobody helping me. I don't want nobody's arms around me. If I was a black beetle upside down, I could kick all night and never turn around. But I'm flat on me back in the rainbow rain. Still I know tomorrow I'll be on my feet again. Just can't get a grip on the ground. I'm upside down the right way around. I promise you, my shameless lady, who laughs out loud in the dark, shameless night, always to be honestly thee in my waking dreams and my drunken nights. I don't fear the yawning sunshine morning. I'm forwards running back again. Fell in the street in a drunken heap. There's bright water all around me, and the cheap red wine in me drunken brain has left a burning flame in me belly. I don't need anybody helping me. I don't need no bugger's arms around me. We do need a bit of help. Right, I'd now like to welcome, please, onto the stage my friend Paul Grant. Yay!
Okay, I'd like to do a song for you that I wrote many, many years ago called Another Way. Her tangled hair, a runny nose, worn out shoes and dirty clothes. She's kinda young to have the blues, but she's got nothing left to lose, and she's looking for a place to play. She's looking for another way. Try to teach her right from wrong. She goes to school but not for long. The other girls can be so cruel, but she will be nobody's fool, and she's looking to another day. She's looking for another way. Touch with you. She's feeling pretty sore, heard it all 100 times before. She's feeling mean and looking sweet. She takes her body to the streets. Her hair begins to gray as her mind begins to stray. She is the mother of a child. Her little girl is running wild, and she's looking for a place to play. She's looking for another way.
We're going to have a bit more of Paul Grant in the second half. Sorry, people at home, that's not for you. Just a little exclusive comment I'm making there. So, we're going to now introduce John Connolly onto the stage. He's been here before, sort of by accident, and then he had a concert while we were in lockdown. I think you came, didn't you? And then he came a little bit by accident, but we're really looking forward to having you here this evening, John. Yeah, so come on, give him a lovely Rosalind Court welcome. Thank you very much.
I think I just knocked something off the wall. Who put that there?
We don't usually try to kill our guests quite so early in the evening.
Anything else lurking behind these curtains, is there?
Stop attacking our equipment.
Okay, it's very nice of you to put this here to remind me who I am. I do sometimes forget. Well, it's nice to be back. It's about a year ago, I think, and I came here because I was supposed to have a booking in this area, and it was cancelled at the last minute. And Morag took pity on me and when I asked if I could come and sing for my supper. And so I came and did a floor spot, and must have done something right because I've got a booking now. My name's John Connolly. I'm going to start with a couple of songs from my hometown, which is the fishing port of Grimsby, on the banks of the mighty Humber. And this is a song about partly about a place, but mostly about a man from Grimsby, a fisherman. And in the centre of our town, in a place called St James Square, next to the parish church in the town centre, there's a memorial statue which has been put there to commemorate the many fishermen who've lost their lives at sea sailing out of the port of Grimsby over the years. And it's a magnificent thing. It's about 12 foot tall in solid bronze, a magnificent depiction of a trawlerman hauling the trawl. And it hadn't been there very long when I noticed people had started leaving flowers on the plinth around the statue. And it occurred to me that the flowers had been put there for men who have no graves. So that's what this song is about. It's about a man called Joe Pearson. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Another reminder. I forgot to plug in. I'll forget my own name next, folks. This man's name is Joe Pearson, however, don't forget. My granddaddy was a fisherman, Joe Pearson was his name. The likes of him built Grimsby town before the railways came. A smacksman and a trawlerman, a rover on the deeps, from Cape Farewell to Baffin's Land, where many a sailor sleeps. He never was a drinking man, as fishermen they can be, but kindness twinkled in his eyes and generosity. His simple fare and his Adam's ale, he'd share the table round, and eternal Father, strong to save, in chapel it would resound. He never was a drinking man, as fishermen they can be, but kindness twinkled in his eyes and generosity. His simple fare and his Adam's ale, he'd share the table round, and eternal Father, strong to save, in chapel it would resound. In war he served his country well, minesweepers and convoys too. Saw many a comrade blown to hell, but his luck still carried him through. And when the war was over and the lights of home were calling, he met and married a Kentish lass and came back to the trawling. He had no sons for to bear his name, just one loving daughter dear, who vowed that when his grandsons came, the sea she never would fear. And when her children were grown, she kept them safe from steam and sail. But her father died as he had lived in the teeth of a North Sea gale. Beneath no grassy bank he's laid, no resting place has he. For now his bones are coral made, and he lies beneath the sea. And when that winter's day comes round, that we remember so well, with flowers there in St. James's Square, we'll sound his passing bell. Some men grow rich on others' toil, and poor folks' misery. Some gain their wealth from gold and oil as they plunder land and sea. But a fisherman is an honest man who toils upon the deep, and he ploughs the furrow of the foam, his family for to keep. My granddad, he was a fisherman, Joe Pearson was his name. The likes of him built Grimsby town before the railways came. And when that winter's day comes round, that we remember so well, with flowers there in St. James's Square, we'll sound his passing bell. My granddad, he was a fisherman, Joe Pearson was his name. So far, so good, folks. I don't think I'll put it back over there. Equally dangerous bending down to pick it up and put it, because I've got a gammy leg at the moment, folks. Just playing for sympathy now. Got a slightly arthritic right knee. However, I shall nobly soldier on. That song, yeah, it's called Joe Pearson, and it's a song that has got a special place in my heart because there's a certain amount of my family history embedded in it. My granddad was called Pearson. He wasn't called Joe, he was called Arthur, but Arthur didn't fit. So, and he wasn't a fisherman either. He was a shipwright. He worked on Grimsby docks, building the trawlers rather than sailing in them. And like a lot of the dock workers in Grimsby, when the First World War broke out, he was sent off to Sheerness to work on warships. And there he met and married a Kentish lass. And my granny was from Gravesend, and she too had a kind of a seafaring background. She was a stewardess on the big liners that sailed out of Tilbury. So he brought her back to Grimsby, and they started a family. So that's the end of the family history lesson, folks. This is a song from my hometown that you might be familiar with, possibly the most famous folk song to emerge from my hometown. It's called 70, which I'm sure you've heard in many a folk club. 70 boys and men were lost from Grimsby town. Tonight, however, I have for you a slightly different variant of this song, which you may not have come across. This is a version that was collected from an old seafaring chap from Norfolk called Captain Kipper. And I think some of you might know where I'm heading with this one now. So, as you'll appreciate, I need to get into character for this one, and the best way I know of doing that is to tell you a little story. And this is a story I got out of an old book of sea songs called The Music of the Waters that was published in the 1880s by a lady called Laura Alexandrine Smith. And in between the songs, she put lots of little stories about seafaring folk. And this story concerns a clergyman whose mission in life was to save the souls of sinful sailors. And he was in conversation with one such whom he wished to convert to his way of thinking. "Tell me, my man," said he, "how long have you been a sailor?" "Well, sir," says Jack, "I've been saved nigh on 35 years, man and boy." "Good gracious," said the clergyman. "And was your father a sailor?" Yes, sir, he went to sea for 40 years until he was washed overboard and drowned. Good heavens, said the clergyman. And your grandfather, was he too a sailor? Yes, sir, he was a sailor 45 years, shipwrecked and drowned, shipwrecked and drowned. But my poor fellow, said the clergyman, this is a dreadful prospect for you. Are you not afraid to go to sea? Well, sir, says Jack, scratching his head and considering this matter carefully, might I ask what your father did for a living? Why, he was a clergyman like myself. And how did your father die, sir? Why, in his bed, of course, like a good Christian. And your grandfather, sir? Why, he also died in his bed like a good Christian. Well, sir, says Jack, ain't you afeard to go to bed? Good, innit? The joy you get from reading old books. You'll know the chorus of this one, but be careful because it's changed ever so slightly, as are the rest of the lyrics. Methinks I see a jovial spree of drunken fishermen carouse around old Grimsby town and put to sea again. Me sees I think, oh curse this drink, I've had a drop myself. Them set their rather shaky course for the continental shelf, and it's 70 boys and men got lost from Grimsby town. From Yarmouth down to Scarborough they staggered round and round. Their herring all went rotten and their cod and skate as well. So they all got tight that bitter night and battled with the smell. Methinks I see them heave and haul, but mostly heave I fear, casting their breakfast overboard because of too much beer. October's night gave them a fright, these lads from Grimsby town. There was many a fisherman who wished he'd dyed his trousers brown, and it's 70 boys and men got lost from Grimsby town. From Yarmouth down to Scarborough they staggered round and round. Their herring all went rotten and their cod and skate as well. So they all got tight that bitter night and battled with the smell. Methinks I see them yet again, 'tis for the 14th time. Our helmsman sails in circles, 'cause he's stoned out of his mind. Then we spied the shoals of herring, but the skipper he cried, hold on! If them's the shoals of herring, lads, we're in the wrong bleeding song. And it's 70 boys and men got lost from Grimsby town. From Yarmouth down to Scarborough they staggered round and round. Their herring all went rotten and their cod and skate as well. So they all got tight that bitter night and battled with the smell. Thank you very much. Believe it or not, I sang that song in Norfolk the other night and got away with it. In fact, somebody came up afterwards and said, when exactly did Sid Kipper write that song? And I had to confess that he didn't. It was me being Sid Kipper at the time. I'd just discovered, I think, that he'd actually had a go at one of my songs. He rewrote a song called Fiddler's Green, which purported to be about one of his disreputable relatives who was in Winson Green Prison in Birmingham. So I thought I'd have a go at that song and convert it into a Sid Kipper song. This, however, is not a Sid Kipper parody. This is I'm going to transport you from the fish stocks of Grimsby into rural Lincolnshire, still not straying too far from my home. And in the county of Lincoln, we have one of the country's most beautiful cathedrals in the city of Lincoln. And I was asked to write a song about it by a lady who, admirable lady, one of these people who spends a lot of time raising money for good causes. And she was working at the time for the Lincoln Cathedral Fabric Fund. And she asked me if I could put my mind to writing a song that they could maybe use to raise money to help keep the cathedral's roof on, basically. And I said I would love to, but I don't know anything about cathedrals. She said, I can fix that. I'll lend you some books. She was determined she was going to get this song out of me. So she lent me a few books, and I started reading up on how the great cathedrals were built. And I found it difficult to write a song about a building because I like to have a human element in the songs that I write. So I found the human element. I found a story that said sometimes the old masons who built the great cathedrals would give the statues the faces of someone that they knew, perhaps a member of their family, maybe their wife or one of their children. And in this way, they gave their families a little bit of immortality. And I thought, well, that's not a bad hook to hang a song on, is it? This is the one that came out. It's called The Angels of Lincoln. Didn't have a chorus when I first wrote it, but people seemed to hanker for something to join in, so I made a chorus by dint of repeating the last line of each verse in a somewhat ecclesiastical manner. You'll soon latch on. The Angels of Lincoln, in which we listen to the words of the old stonemason speaking to us across the centuries and saying, please look after my children. Above the streets of Lincoln town, my children stand in stone. They watch the changing seasons round, immortal and alone. And here throughout the ages long, they shall forever stand. A little less than angels, a little less than angels, a little less than angels, and a little more than man. A little less than angels, a little less than angels, a little less than angels, and a little more than man. I am no prince or nobleman, I hold no crown or throne. I am a craftsman in my trade and carver of the stone. My name is not remembered and my grave forgotten lies. But still today in Lincoln, but still today in Lincoln, but still today in Lincoln town, my children walk the skies. But still today in Lincoln, but still today in Lincoln, but still today in Lincoln town, my children walk the skies. On Lincoln's great cathedral I did labour 80 years, and carven in her towers high are all my joys and fears. I praise the Lord of Makers, for he gave me children 3. And here among his angels, and here among his angels, and here among his angel host, their likeness now shall be. And here among his angels, and here among his angels, and here among his angel host, their likeness now shall be. God's house was made by mortals and was built from earthly clays. So heed the prayers of such as we, who toiled in far-off days. For even stones may wither and die, unless they cherished be. I pray you keep my children, I pray you keep my children, I pray you keep my children safe and love them still for me. I pray you keep my children. I pray you keep my children. I pray you keep my children safe and love them still for me. Above the streets of Lincoln town, my children stand in stone. They watch the changing seasons round, immortal and alone. And here throughout the ages long they shall forever stand. A little less than angels, a little less than angels, a little less than angels, and a little more than man. A little less than angels, a little less than angels, a little less than angels, and a little more than man.
Interrupt for 2 minutes to say, if you're enjoying this at home, please could you consider donating to this event, because we're an independent venue, we haven't got any grants or anything, and anything that you donate will go to the putting on of concerts in this place, and that would be brilliant. And also you'll be put in the raffles, so you know, hey, win-win. John, where can people get your CDs?
We're all right here, folks. But if you're not here, I've got a website. You can go to, I think it's www, 3 W's, www.
I'll get on with it.
John Connolly, I don't remember that bit, johnconnolly.co.uk, I think.
Brilliant. That's good.
Or otherwise, just Google John Connolly and you'll probably get an American thriller writer who makes a lot more money than what I do.
Oh, shame. A suggestion for your donation. He sings lots of songs about the coast and about the sea and about fish. So what I suggest is perhaps Peter's Fish and Chips in Margate. They do a special for £4.95. But why not round it up to £5, eh? That's, a good idea. Okay, thank you. John Connolly.
Right, I'm off to Peter's after this. Sounds a bargain. Right, staying in rural Lincolnshire, this is a couple of traditional songs from Lincolnshire for you. The first of these, two songs that I've strung together. As you will discover, this is something I like to do occasionally. And they're connected by the fact they're both about country fairs in North Lincolnshire. And the first song is very famous. It's called Brig Fair. And the second one is not famous at all. It's called Caister Fair. Caister's a little market town about 10 miles from Brig as the crow flies. The reason Brig Fair is famous, it was collected in the early years of the last century by the Australian musician, composer and song collector Percy Grainger, who was a great friend of people like Cecil Sharp and other folk song collectors of the time. And he decided to do a bit of collecting on his own account. He had some friends who lived in North Lincolnshire, just outside the town of Brig, the Elwis family, who were a noted musical family. One of the family was a famous tenor on the circuit in those days, Gervais Elwis. And the family organised for Percy Grainger a little music festival while he was staying with them. And they invited the local villagers to come and sing any old songs that they knew. And there were cash prizes offered, which of course brought lots of people in. They all came and sang their old songs. And Percy Grainger had with him, by chance, a mechanical recording device called the Edison Bell cylinder phonograph, which recorded things on a wax cylinder. And he used to chat up these old singers and get permission to go around and see them and record their songs on his device. And one of the singers was a chap called Joseph Taylor from the village of Saxby All Saints, who, according to Percy Grainger, was in his 70s at the time, but still had a remarkably clear, pure and strong voice. And he sang a love song called Brig Fair, which mightily took Percy Grainger's fancy. And he later did a piano arrangement of it, which he passed on to his friend, the composer Frederick Delius. Am I boring you, by the way? And Frederick Delius wrote a piece of music called Brig, an English Rhapsody, which travelled all over the world. From this simple little Lincolnshire love song came a piece of music that's known and loved all over the world. So I'll try and sing something like the original song for you. And I'll couple with it this little-known song from the neighbouring town of Caister, which is a kind of Lincolnshire bothy ballad, is the best way I can describe it. It's a kind of song I imagine farm workers would make up in the pub on a Saturday night to take the piss out of their employers. And it's about the misadventures of an incompetent farmer. So this is Brig Fair, followed by Caister Fair. It was on the 5th of August, the weather fair and fine. Unto Brig Fair I did a repair, for love I was inclined. I got up with the lark in the morning, with me heart so full of glee, expecting there to meet my dear long time I'd wished to see. For its meeting is a pleasure, and parting is a grief, and a false-hearted lover is worse than any thief. For the green leaves they will wither, and the roots they will decay, if ever I prove false to her, the girl that loves me. It was on the 5th of August, the weather fair and fine. Unto Brig Fair I did a repair, for love I was inclined. Old John Brown, he had an old mare, he took her down to Caister Fair. He brought her back, he did, because he wasn't one farthing bid. Sing rumble-dum-dairy, flare away Mary, rumble-dum-dairy, rumble-dum-dee. Old John Brown, he had some hens, they was allest among his corn. With his 2 eyes he did but stare, he shot at the hens and he killed the old mare. Sing rumble-dum-dairy, flare away Mary, rumble-dum-dairy, rumble-dum-dee. Old John Brown, he had 2 foals, said he could make 'em lead his winter coals, and if they didn't get back by noon, he'd eat the treacle and swallow the spoon. Sing rumble-dum-dairy, flare away Mary, rumble-dum-dairy, rumble-dum-dee. Old John Brown, he went to plough, when he got there he didn't know how. At every end he gave him a yark and said he could plough from lark to dark. Sing rumble-dum-dairy, flare away Mary, rumble-dum-dairy, rumble-dum-dee. Rumble-dum-dairy, flare away Mary, rumble-dum-dairy, rumble-dum-dee. I fear I must get my breath back after that, excuse me. Pardon? Yeah, I had it on the radiator first, but every time I go to pick it up, something falls off the wall behind. Right. This is moving north up the coast slightly from Grimsby, about 70 miles north of Grimsby on the Yorkshire coast. is the famous old whaling port of Whitby, which is famous for several reasons, mainly because it was the place that the famous Captain Cook set out on many of his voyages, and secondly because it was the place where Dracula first landed in England. And it's also famous for having the Whitby Folk Week, which happens every August, and there's a week of folk music, and it's celebrated in this song, which was written not to celebrate, but to mark the occasion of the retirement of Malcolm Story, who for many years was the director of Whitby Folk Week and ruled it with a rod of iron, I may say. And this song was written the year he retired, and it was sung at Whitby Festival in his presence, and it is reputed that he actually cracked a smile. I wasn't in view of him, so I can't vouch for that. But this is I suppose it's a terrible warning, really, this song, about what can happen to a respectable seaside resort if they allow a folk festival to take them over. It's called, it's set to a hitherto respectable seafaring traditional ballad, and it's called Brave Admiral Story's Farewell to Whitby. Enjoy. Oh, there's something else I should tell you. One of the things that you need to know, I've already told you, that's Malcolm Story was the director of the festival. The other thing is mentions a place called the Magpie in Whitby, and the Magpie is a very famous fish and chip restaurant, which is so good that whatever time of day or night you go, there is always a queue right round the block. So the Magpie gets a special mention. We sailed into Whitby, close by Robin Hood's Bay, and brave Admiral Story unto us did say, I will conquer fair Whitby, my realm it shall be. If it's good enough for Dracula, it's good enough for me. So we drew up our singers in a mighty fine line, and we gave 'em 3 volleys of the wild mountain time. With 50 bold shanty men we battered their ears, and with 40 verse ballads we bored them to tears. Now the very next morning the engagement proved hot, and the queue at the Magpie received a change shot. Cried the townsfolk of Whitby, oh damn them to hell, our flagship they've conquered, no chips can we sell. When this news was carried, we gave a great cheer, and we sent in our Morris men to drink all their beer. At the sound of our battle drums, their courage did shrink. 'Twas 10,000 bowrons all playing out of sync. Then the clogs they did rattle, and the hankies did fly, and the holiday makers for mercy did cry, and one poor old pensioner was heard to remark, oh, I'm off to Scarborough, bugger this for a lark. So come all you bold folkies, wherever you be, and join us once more at fair Whitby on Sea. Come raise up your glasses and drink a strong brew to brave Admiral Story and his gallant crew. Oh dear. What further damage can I do?
John, there's a lot of questions about what guitar you're playing on the chat.
Yeah, okay. It's a Guild D40, and it's about 50 years old, I think. I bought it in the 1960s, new, and brand new. It cost me 100 quid, so that gives you some idea. I think I might have to pay a bit more for it now. And it's sorely bent and battered, I'm afraid. It's got holes in all sorts, bits of it. Bits of it have dropped off. It's been dropped on the cobblestones at Cromer Crab Festival, and all sorts of misadventures, but it still keeps on playing. I think it's a guitar that's doing the playing and not me. So, what key is the next one in, John? And was that the only question about the guitar? Nobody wanted to know who styles my hair? I know. I'm so disappointed. Yes, I'll do you this one. I think we must be approaching the end of the set now. Well, I'll tell you what I'm planning. I have 3 more songs, but they're split into, this is one song, and the next 2 songs strung together to finish the set. Does that work with what you've got in mind? Okay. So this is the 3 songs I'm going to finish this set with all have a kind of environmental theme. This is a song I wrote in the 70s, nearly as old as the guitar, and it's a time when I was still a bit of a hippie. Yes, folks, I had long, curly black hair I had. Loon pants, Cuban heels, the lot. And I was writing protest songs like there was no tomorrow. And as it happened, there wasn't. And that's what some of the songs were about. And that's what this one's about. I can work this up into an act if I try hard. With the juggling with the guitar stand as well. Hey. This is about a little boy called Charlie, and Charlie is an unusual child. What he likes to do best is turn off the telly and go out and sit in the meadow and watch the flowers grow. The song's called Charlie in the Meadow. And because there's a line in the song that says, Charlie's kingdom vanishes a little every day, lots of people seem to think the song was about the Prince of Wales. And it wasn't, but if the cap fits, hey, I'm not averse to a gig on the palace roof anytime. So, yes, I suppose it really is Charlie's kingdom now. And this is a song about how it is sadly disappearing, parts of it anyway. Charlie in the Meadow, hope you like it. Charlie is a funny kid, you'll hear the neighbours say. You will never find him where the other children play. For Charlie is a solitary kind of little boy. The flowers are his playmates, and the earth his only toy. And by the silent silver screen there stands an empty chair. There's an all-star show tonight, but Charlie doesn't care. And in the misty meadow where the daisies blow, Charlie is watching the flowers grow. Charlie is watching the flowers grow. Charlie watches life go by and dreams a sunny dream of field mice in the meadow grass and tadpoles in the stream. He listens for the cuckoo's chime and hears the blackbird's song. But Charlie's got a feeling that they won't be with us long. And by the silent silver screen there stands an empty chair. There's an all-star show tonight, but Charlie doesn't care. And in the misty meadow by the moonlight's glow, Charlie is watching the flowers grow. Charlie is watching the flowers grow. Charlie's kingdom vanishes a little every day. The countryside is shrinking and the mice have moved away. Fields and flowers disappear before the hand of man, and Charlie wants to see them all and touch them while he can. And by the silent silver screen there stands an empty chair. There's an all-star show tonight, but Charlie doesn't care. And in the misty meadow where the stars hang low, Charlie is watching the flowers grow. Charlie is watching the flowers grow. In the misty meadow where the stars hang low, Charlie is watching the flowers grow. Charlie is watching the flowers grow. Is this the raffle?
This is the raffle.
And is this for the big one?
Yeah.
The big roll. Oh. Sheila Dodsworth has won.
That's very good. Okay, now for the big one, the toilet roll.
I am sorry, you've
While
won a
I'm
CD.
picking that up, can you talk about the book again? Somebody's asked about the book.
The book? Which
Yeah.
book?
You mentioned a book, apparently.
Did I?
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't listening.
No, well, can somebody remind me what I said? Because I haven't got a book. Oh, sorry, that book, yes. Yeah, I did have a songbook years ago, but it's out of print, so I can't sell you any, sorry. The book was called Music of the Waters, and it was published in the 1880s by a lady called Laura Alexandrine Smith. So that's all I know about it.
We'll be asking
Plus,
questions about that later.
Lots of good songs in it. A lot of quite rare songs that I'd never come across before. And some good stories.
Okay. Now, I can see the tension is just really mounting here. Unfortunately, this has been won by Daisy Murray, who is not in the room. Are you? Oh, brilliant. Oh, that's great. So I thought I was going to have to post this, which is mortifying. All right, I'll give it to you. Wonderful. Thank you. Last songs from John.
Oh, is it me again? Yeah. All right. Okay, I'm sorry about this, but I have to retune slightly. This is the only song that I use an alternative tuning on. And although I'll use the simplest alternative tuning you can, which is a simple open G tuning, it's due to my advanced age, I still find it difficult to talk to you and retune at the same time. So pardon me for a moment. Sounds all right there, but when you put the capo 6 frets up, things may be different. And when you lose your capo, is it? Oh, it's there. These are the two songs strung together that I promised you earlier on, and they both definitely have an environmental theme. Some years ago, the World Wildlife Fund organised a song competition, and I can't remember the exact date, but it was the year before the big conference, environmental conference at Kyoto, and it was the first environmental summit that had been held. It was very important, and the people from the World Wildlife Fund wanted to do their best to draw people's attention to it, and they put out all sorts of publicity about it. And one of the things they thought of was running a song competition, and the idea was to produce lots of new songs on an environmental theme. And it was quite a high-profile thing. It attracted, there were some very substantial cash prizes involved. And the judges were Martin Carthy and Roy Bailey. So it was quite a prestigious thing. And it attracted over 400 entries from all over the country. And I have to tell you that the county of Lincolnshire did very well in this song competition. Out of the 6 finalists that were selected by Mr. Carthy and Mr. Bailey, 2 of the songs were from Lincolnshire. The first of which I'm going to do is a song from South Lincolnshire, which was written by a married couple called Paul and Christine Dickinson, and it's a very gentle piece of protest called This Wise Old Love. And it goes seamlessly, hopefully, into the second song, which was written by an up-and-coming young chap called John Connolly from North Lincolnshire, and it's called The Last Ploughshare. Another swig for this. It's a bit of a marathon. Okay, so after this there'll be a break, am I right? And time for you to refill your glasses and hopefully sample my merchandise, which is lurking on the stand over here. Will you share my fears and have no thought? Will you share my fears? I'm sorry, I've completely cocked up the first line, ladies and gentlemen. Dismiss that from your mind, reset your mood, and I'll start again. Will you cry my tears and be close by my side, oh? And will you share my fears and have no thought of pride? We live in fear of war, of men and women's rage, oh, which children learn so well and pass to each new age. We cry for all of those who are denied a home, for the millions more we leave to cry alone. For we have travelled far to draw each other near, oh, and it's this wise old love helps us through each new year. Fear our leaders' power until they learn to care, oh, and give more than they take, so all may have their share. We cry for prisoners until they hear the sound, echoing east and west, the whole world around. For we have travelled far to draw each other near, oh, and it's this wise old love helps us through each new year. We fear the changing skies, the sun which spares no shade, oh, we fear the poisoned earth and sea which man has made. We cry for living things who know their time has come, and we cry for ourselves who let man's will be done. For we have travelled far to draw each other near, oh, and it's this wise old love helps us through each new year. For we have travelled far to draw each other near, oh, and it's this wise old love helps us through each new year. first men roved out in glory on the earth's broad and gentle plain. Turned the first pages of the story, took the wide world as their domain. Oh, there were no promises to break then, as the world's morning swelled with light, calling mankind to rise and wake then from the dark mantle of the night. Man the thinker and man the maker, gaining strength as the years unfold, mountain mover and heaven shaker, weaving bright dreams from threads of gold. And there are none now can overthrow him as he strives for the victor's crown, losing sight of the earth below him where the seed corn is trampled down. For the earth's treasures grow with sharing, there is bounty for every need. Only man counts the cost of caring, only man lives by guile and greed. And there is no room for simple kindness when the weakest go to the wall. In the proud prison of his blindness, man has conquered and man must fall. The sun strikes the flint and tinder of the world's fierce and final dawn. Who will plough then the ash and cinder of the lands war has stripped and torn? And who will green all the battlefields then as the earth's blind and bloody lords, grimly gathering the final yields then, turn the last ploughshare into swords, turn the last ploughshare into swords.
Brilliant. Thanks, John. John Connolly. So it's time to thank the team, to Andrew, to Roger, to John, to Phil, and in her pinny at the bar, Una! Hey! Also Paul Grant for his floor song. We'll get another one in a minute. That would be brilliant. And to say that next week we have George Sansom and Matt Quinn coming here singing brilliant folk music. Lovely, lovely instrumentation and harmonies. And they're just lovely people as well. So that'll be nice. And then on May the 4th, we have Edwina Hayes, who apparently, allegedly, has the sweetest voice in England. So we will be the judge of that, quite frankly. On the 11th, we've got Naomi Bedford and Paul Simmons, okay, followed by Alden and Patterson, who are just wonderful. All of these people are all wonderful. It's difficult to describe them because they're just wonderful. On the last Monday of the month, at 6 to 8 here, James Carey leads a scratch band. So if you want to come along with an instrument and play a tune under the tutorship of James Carey, it's a lovely, lovely session here. It's really, you'll enjoy that. So let's just say thank you to John Connolly for the last time in this half. Yeah. Thank you at home. Watch us again next week for George Sansom and Matt Quinn. My name's Morag Butler. I'll see you next week, I hope. Thank you. Thank you.